It is day 212 of the second Trump administration. Over the last 7 months, we have seen this White House make so many changes to our government, both what it does and how it works. Tonight, we're going to start with one of the biggest of those changes, and that is how Trump is transforming federal law enforcement. One of the first examples that we saw is what happened in Los Angeles earlier this year. I was there on the ground for weeks as masked federal agents and National Guard troops, even the United States Marines, made their way through the city, whether they wanted to or not. They were conducting immigration raids. They were supposedly protecting structures, and they were facing off against protesters. And of course, now we're seeing the next step in Washington, D.C. The National Guard and federal agents are patrolling the streets there, and more Republican governors have agreed to send some of their state's National Guard troops to Washington, D.C. as well. The White House has bragged about the federal takeover, resulting in more than 450 arrests. But as the Washington Post reports, it's not actually clear who has been arrested, for what, and by whom. The Trump administration has been very clear, though. What we have seen in L.A. and in Washington, D.C. is just the beginning of all of this. Do not take it from me. Border Czar Tom Holdman told me as much directly about what was happening in L.A. and that there would be raids happening every single day.
We're going to keep enforcing law every day in L.A. Every day in L.A., we're going to force immigration law. I don't care if they like it or not.
They want to do this in other cities throughout the country. They've said that, but that is not the only way that they are overhauling federal law enforcement. Current and former FBI officials tell my colleague Ken Dilanian that the administration wants the FBI to focus more on violent crime, which leaves fewer resources to focus on terrorism, on hackers, on spies, on white-collar fraud, on public corruption, even on child sex crimes. Trump's so-called weaponization czar, Ed Martin, is taking aim at two public figures that Trump has bashed for years: New York Attorney General Letitia James and California Senator Adam Schiff. Martin is a Missouri politician. He's a lawyer. He's leading these investigations, even though before this year he had no prosecutorial experience whatsoever. And Donald Trump just appointed Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey to be Dan Bongino's co-deputy director of the FBI. For people unfamiliar with Bailey, I was. Here's what the Kansas City Star's editorial board said about the news. It is difficult to wish Bailey luck in his new post. We expect that his task in the new job will be to push the legal limits of the FBI's considerable powers in order to go after the president's rivals and wage ideological warfare. That is, after all, how he used his platform in Missouri. And with that, let's bring in our leadoff panel. Ryan Riley, justice reporter for NBC News; Carol Leonnig, Pulitzer Prize-winning investigative reporter with The Washington Post; and Leanne Caldwell, chief Washington correspondent for Puck. A panel of my pals. Good to see you guys. Ryan, I want to start with you. We're going to get to all of these individual stories in just a second. But as I mentioned, I saw it out in L.A. I'm wondering how you would characterize what the administration is doing to federal law enforcement from a big picture perspective.
Yeah, I mean, it's really quite incredible what I think they've been doing here. You saw the video at the beginning of the hour there in Columbia Heights, where you had those individuals chasing that ICE agent down the street. And I think there has been considerable pushback from the community here. There was a church where ICE agents were posted up outside. There was another nearby neighborhood where ICE agents ripped down a banner and posted that on social media. And a lot of this has been really pushed out on social media. It seems as though this is sort of an optics thing first and foremost for the White House, because that's where a lot of this material has been emerging from. They have these sort of coordinated videos that show this sort of takeover stylized to music often, and it really is, I mean, a real takeover. And federal agents aren't necessarily all on board with this. There's certainly a strong contingent within the FBI that is supportive of Donald Trump's of Donald Trump in general and some of his goals here. But overall, I think this is taking people off of the streets, off of their basic duties. And especially when you're working those night shifts, that shifts everyone to a different sort of category. And it makes it more difficult to even say, if you're doing this a couple of nights a week, that throws off basically your entire week. So there's some effort to try to get, some sort of coordination done with this to make this make sense in terms of the timeline when you're working these night shifts, because you can't just go back instantly to working your desk job and do it at full capacity. And that's really what the FBI is mostly focused on. It's an investigative agency. This is not what agents are trained for, to be out on the streets and doing these duties that are often outside of the scope of their what they're supposed to be doing every day, including these enforcing these administrative warrants.
It is such a good point, and it has been so bizarre to see Border Patrol agents as videographers. I will bet you a nickel that very few Border Patrol agents signed up to be a part of that agency to go out there with a camera on a gimbal and to follow other Border Patrol agents around. But that's exactly what you continue to see, them pouring out the backs of these vehicles, making these slow motion videos, including that Narciso Barranco video when they had the weed whacker and they tweeted it even back at me. Carol, you have reported on this subject closely for years. You literally wrote the book on the Secret Service. But for everybody who's watching at home, how big of a deal is this? How big of a change is this?
You know, I'm trying to think, Jacob. I thought your word transformation was so important, but it's bigger than that, and I don't know what the right synonym is. It's a really radical overhaul for some of the reasons Ryan mentioned. FBI agents who have been reaching out to me know that this is bizarro world for them to be leaving an investigative job of, say, counterespionage or counterterrorism, things that Donald Trump does not consider priorities, and now joining squads of people that they don't normally work with to walk the streets and question people who fit a profile of possibly being immigrants, possibly being illegal immigrants, going to homes and addresses that they think could be folks that they could deport or send to prisons in other countries. That is a shocker. Another huge shocker here, Jacob, is the lack of any documentation of these federal task forces, sometimes peopled by FBI agents, HSI agents from DHS, Border Patrol, these folks coming together to make these arrests. In D.C., we're seeing this, but it's happening all over the country. I was just in Colorado where some friends and colleagues were telling me the same story. There are no documents to show who's getting arrested and where are they going. That is very different than the way federal law enforcement and local law enforcement typically have worked in our country. The law on this was created in 1929, the Uniform Crime Reporting Act, to make sure that every time there are arrests, there's a way to track what were they arrested for, what are they accused of, who's the witness, and where is that person now. While you mentioned earlier, Jacob, so smartly, the president and the White House are bragging and boasting of all these arrests. They're not showing what in the world people are charged with. And local police are, at this point anyway, not answering questions about it either.
Yeah, I was going to say, down at 26 Federal Plaza, where I went to see the arrest in the immigration court the other day, ATF agents were standing in the hallway alongside Border Patrol agents and ICE agents. Diplomatic Security Service agents were standing there. They didn't sign up for that either, Leanne. And the Republican Party is out there defending this. They used to be the party of small government or so-called law and order, but nobody on Capitol Hill seems to have any problem with what they're doing here.
Yeah, well, to be fair, they're not here right now. They're not completely focused on it. They're not going to be back until September. But it is going to be an issue when they come back. There's very likely going to be an attempt to extend home rule to extend the president's ability to bypass DC's home rule law beyond the 30 days, which ends at the beginning of September, around September 10th, and it's up to Congress to extend that. We fully expect the Republican-led House of Representatives to do that. The question is if there's going to be enough Democratic senators to join all Republicans in doing that in the Senate, especially when this issue of law and order is at play, and it has been a political liability for Democrats in the past, especially as Trump is trying to make this a wedge issue. But one thing that's also really interesting about the show of force by this administration is so much of this social media reports. So much of the as you mentioned, the cameras being held by ICE agents. These are in really popular parts of town where there's a very heavy nightlife, where people go to restaurants, where people flock to on the weekends. If they were really serious about crime, there would be a lot more coverage and a lot more attention on the parts of DC where there is a lot of crime in the southeastern parts of the district. And the White House is quite sensitive to this. When I questioned on social media over the weekend, looking or citing news reports by New York Times and others that there has not been a heavy presence of these federal agencies in these higher crime areas of the city, the White House pushed back really hard publicly. There's Trump associates attacking me. And then today they were pointing to these statistics that they say where there was a lot of people arrested in these high crime areas. But again, we don't know what these arrests mean. There was no details on if they were actually arrested in these higher crime areas. And so there's just a complete void and vacuum of information of what is actually happening here, Jacob.
Yeah, Ryan, I'm so glad that Leanne mentioned these statistics, and Carol mentioned as well. We have such little information about the hundreds of people being arrested. We have the dramatic videos, but we don't really have the data. And my understanding is 2 senior law enforcement officials have told us at NBC News that the Justice Department is investigating whether Washington police actually manipulated crime statistics to make them appear lower than they actually are. So what's going on with this?
Yeah, I mean, I think that sort of fits into the broader narrative here that they're saying that this data was manipulated and it's false. But, we should point out that Ed Martin, who was the interim U.S. attorney for the District of Columbia, bragged about how actually crime was down in the first 100 days of the Trump administration. We've seen a trickle of these. I've been watching the federal docket in D.C., and we've seen, a trickle of these cases come in, often involving unusual circumstances because, they'll involve National Guard troops getting involved in picking up, paraphernalia off of the streets, for example. Who were part of a chase. But, I had one federal official describe this to me as a federal funeral, because basically what you have is you have one lead car that's usually from an agency like the Uniform Patrol for the U.S. Secret Service, or it's for, DC Police, MPD, or one of these other agencies that has jurisdiction across the entire District of Columbia. And then it's followed by a bunch of these other cars. And essentially what you have is people, standing around because they really can't go as hands-on under their protocols as the agents actually, as the people who do this normally every day can. And they're also in very unfamiliar environments. The comms are often a problem here. So it is an issue, just organizing this entire mass effort. And you end up with just a lot of folks, sort of as I did at Union Station near our office the other day, they were sort of patrolling around, walking in one door of Union Station and out the other, and then just sort of standing in, into the distance and looking around towards the Capitol. So you end up with a lot of people just sort of standing around. And this was HSI in that case, just sort of as a presence, I suppose, there.